Hi guys. Hello, 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 and welcome. So, today is going to possibly be a short one, but I really wanted to come in and chat with you a bit. So, here goes. So, for those of you who do know me, welcome. Hey, what's up? Hope you're all good. And for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Aliane Oliver. I'm a coach, trainer, consultant. I work in business development, the corporate leadership space, customer service, strategy and management, planning, project management, you name it. I am able to assist in creating those plans, helping with strategy, helping to guide and support and coach and mentor as much as I can. So, welcome to you too. And if you're going to watch this after the live, I appreciate you coming on to view. I appreciate your thoughts, words, actions. I appreciate your comments. I know a lot of you have been inboxing me since I've been live in recently. I appreciate all your kind words, and I also appreciate all your feedback as well. I know some of you have been asking me a few questions about some of the books I've been reading. So today specifically, I really want to talk about awakening your financial genius and how from my experience, I feel like I've constantly had shifts over different periods of my lifetime, and those shifts have brought me to basically 10 steps that I currently follow that guides my financial genius in the different things that I might do, what I might spend on, and also how I make decisions about my financial freedom steps, I like to call them. So I'm going to go through a few steps that I typically has have become aware of primarily based on the principles coming out of Rich Dad Poor Dad. That book for me was amazing. And actually I first read that book. I was mesmerized by that book when I was 14 years old. And as a result of that, it kind of got me thinking. I didn't quite act on it at the time. At 14, you're really not thinking about much. But what I came to realize is that there's a lot of things we aren't taught within our families, within the school system. There's a lot of things that I felt like I didn't quite know. And even at the age of 14, when reading that book, I actually read that book twice in probably less than a week or 2 weeks because I was so intrigued by the different dads that were portrayed. And also, one dad was more on the principle or almost grew up on the in the culture I felt like was really connected more to Barbados and the Caribbean in the sense that he was the dad that preached education. He was the dad that was like, you know what? You need to go out there, you need to learn. And when you learn, you're going to earn and you're going to get this good job. And he was that dad. And I had heard it so much at the age of 14 about what's the right steps to take in building yourself as an adult, and that was pretty much all that was rung into my ears. So then to see this other perspective where this other dad was investing and, you know, looking at money differently and was a little more aware about what it meant to manage money versus accounting money. And it was crazy, but it really brought a different perspective to the table, and it allowed me to be a little more, I would say, a little more of a risk taker because I think getting that education, great, I did it. Um, Applying and getting those good jobs, great, I did it. But it's the safe choice, and that kind of awoken. Oh, that kind of was like the starting point, rather, of me realizing that life is there's risks the greatest risk is the most reward. That's it. And at the same time, knowing what risks to take and being strategic about those risks. So anyhow, I'm not gonna keep going on about the book because the book was amazing. And if you haven't read the book already, please go read it. It's gonna change your perspective. It's gonna give you a new insight. But more than that, reading more to the principles because principles never really change, right? And it's a different way of thinking. And I feel like even children, if you could get a child, a teenager to read that book, that would be great. So anyhow, one of the first steps I've found that have really worked for me specifically is find a reason greater than reality. You should have a greater reason to pursue financial independence than your reality, right? Very often we get caught up in the dollar signs, we get caught up in wanting to be a millionaire, we get caught up in wanting to be rich, so to speak. And the reason why that might occur is because, we might be struggling to pay bills month to month. We might be living paycheck to paycheck. We might, you know, so much has gone up in the Caribbean in terms of cost of living. So I know I get the pressures of feeling like, and in the world generally. So I get the pressures of feeling like in my reality, I am so bogged down by all the things that require money. And I feel like there's no other way out. But if you let the only reason or the strongest reason for wanting financial freedom to be because of your reality, chances are that if that is what's driving you, you probably won't get over that. And every time money comes, just as quickly as money comes to your hand, it's going to fly out. So don't let your reality dictate the reason why you want financial freedom. Let some goal that you have set, let some priority that is bigger sometimes than yourself to guide that reason for financial freedom. Step two would be making daily choices. And I have these written down, so I hope you will bear with me, right? So choosing the daily activities that you do to invest in your mind and your goals. And I know it seems strange, but honestly, the most financially aware and financially sound individuals out there are so intelligent, and not necessarily intelligent in terms of book smarts, but intelligent in terms of raising their wisdom to the different culture of finance. Understanding finance is the first thing, raising their wisdom in terms of having a more positive outlook. And a big part of being a financial genius, so to speak, is having a certain level of consciousness, would be the best thing to say. Being conscious of every step and action you're taking and daily feeding your mind with that level of positivity. Because the more positive you are, the more positive things will come to you. And one of the biggest positivities many people are driven by is money. The third step I would say is choose your friends carefully. You see this word friend? Friend is a funny word. And I could probably go on and talk about this for years. But who you choose to associate with will, in many ways, dictate the kind of life you are going to live or want to live. Because your network, in a sense, is who you're around a lot, and they influence how you think, they influence what you talk about, they often influence the kind of decisions that you make. And there's some friends that could be very negative, can be very controlling. There are some friends that can guide you down the wrong path off of jealousy and insecurities. And we get so caught up in the relationship that we don't see how it's impacting us both internally and externally. And it's so important to choose the right people to be around, like having persons that are intelligent and expand your level of thinking and get you seeing things in a different perspective than you would have ever imagined opens up so many different opportunities and keeps you on track, quite honestly, because very often friends are who motivate you the most in a lot of ways outside the family, you know. And when you see, it's almost like we're human beings, right? So we it's almost like a follow pattern thing. And when you see one of your friends, at least who you truly consider a friend, because that word is just a loose word these days. But when you see someone really getting through, at least for me, when I see my friends getting through, I just be like, yes, because I used to be the biggest cheerleader. But at the same time, it's also be a motivator. It's be like, yo, all right, she get this too. All right, let me go together. And I used to be more so motivated to like us all rising together. It's almost like I used to be like, yes, let's do this. And I might help push them up and they might help push me up, but we all going together. And to me, that's the beauty of friendship. And if you choose the right friends, they're gonna put you in a headspace that allows you to constantly thrive. I kid you not. So that might be my number one, but definitely number three, choose your friends carefully. Number four would be master a formula that quickly moves you to the next level. So financial success is very often closely linked to what we learn in terms of the formula of making money. And normally, when you find a rhythm that works for you, now everybody invests differently. Everybody kind of spends differently as well. And when you find a formula that and and what we don't do typically is that we don't test financially. So financially, we don't test to see what works for us in terms of investing, saving, and almost adjusting how we spend and what we do or the steps that we take. And it takes a while to get to a place where you create a formula that just is spot on. But when you do find that formula, keep going. Don't stop. Keep breaking off the wheels. Ride that track till the wheels fall off, essentially. Now I know most people think about real estate as investments. Most people think of mutual funds as investment. Most people think of different things, even savings, bonds, and different things like that. And I think most recently, especially a lot of the millennials I've come across have been a little more in tune with the stock market and learn a little more about that. However, there's a formula to it all. And you need to not only figure out what percentage of each salary or what percentage of each amount that you get is going to go towards that. But once you find the formula that works for you, keep at it and don't increase it if you can. So increase as you go based on the success that you're getting. Number five, always pay yourself first to enhance your self discipline, right? If you can't control yourself, don't try to get rich, so to speak. So always pay yourself first. And this specifically, I guess, is more targeted to entrepreneurs who, you know, are getting those paychecks, are getting those clients, are receiving that money in bulk. And quite often we often think of paying other people, paying, and don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to shirt your bills. Never that. No, no, no. Pay yourself from the profit or or in some instances from the revenue that you generated. Um, but pay yourself first. It gets you into that habit of not only receiving that income, but it also enhances your discipline of attaining a certain set of money that you can then reinvest, even if you reinvest it back into the business, or you reinvest it into yourself for self development, or you reinvest it into some plan or some formula that works for you. But pay yourself because it gets you into that pattern of also paying out the money that's required on a monthly or quarterly basis, right? Number six would definitely be pay your brokers well. And if you're serious about investing, you will invest time and energy into learning from your brokers, but also paying those who are working well based on the formula you've created. It you are Your level of success is measured by the good advice that you get. And if you're trying to shirk paying the person who's going to give you that quality advice, more often than not, you're not going to get the quality that you desire. Is going to be is going to be weak, and you're going to make bad investments. If you find a broker that is really working their magic, knows the ins and outs of the game, pay them well, and or support them, share about them, encourage them, because it's going to be a big part of your level of success, right? Num- Number seven, don't be an Indian giver. I know this is a term that we hear, especially in the Caribbean market, about giving to take back, right? Um, Make investments that almost net that goods or that asset that is required without trying to be too greedy with it. I think that's the point I'm trying. Stop trying to be too greedy with it. Um, Investments is a give and take game. And I think I am focused so much on investments, especially in this call, because I feel like investment comes in many different forms. Investment comes in the form of self development. Investment comes in the form in increasing and enhancing your financial uh, status. Investment comes in the form of providing some form of support or guidance to the community. Investment comes in many different forms. But I think I'm specifically focused on the financial status engagement because I know there are a lot of persons out there who are interested in investing, hear this word, but haven't a clue where to start. And at the same time, when they do start or when they're getting to the point where they're looking to pour money into it, oftentimes there's this I want to give but still holding back mentality. There's almost there's almost a sense like I want you to get this $100, but I don't want to let go of it. And that's not how investment works. There's a risk in investment, but there's also a huge reward. And don't get to the point where, you know, you are not at a place where you're not willing to necessarily lose that investment. You must always be at a place where it's okay for you. Like if you lose that $100, you'll be fine. Because investment is give and take, right? Don't use assets to buy luxuries, right? Don't you and I can repeat this, do not use assets to buy luxuries. If you can't buy luxuries with the income you're making, do not take out a loan. Do not, do not try to refinance when you know you cannot afford. Okay? Good. Because I find very often we get so caught up in looking like our financial status has been increased that we spend either money on silly things or we try to invest in order to get those silly things. And remember, I said number one, find a reason greater than reality, right? And if your reality is just buying a expensive purse, cut it out. Cut it out. Because you're gonna find that there's money running out of your purse quicker than it did gaining it, right? I've found as well it is good to have persons that you can easily look up to, like basically financial heroes. Um, it becomes way easier as you start to invest and as you start to think about your financial literacy and where you would like to be. It becomes much easier to invest when you start to follow persons who are on the same trajectory or have gotten there and are giving you information that allows you to thrive well in that space. So connecting, following, listening to, getting as much information as you can, but soak up who has done it. Ask a question. And not oftentimes persons will give you an answer, at least not right away. But find out from find out through maybe doing your research or listen to and hearing videos, vlogs, looking at blogs. Try to increase your level of knowledge through persons who've done it or who are where you would like to be, because it's going to be a much easier place to take those risks when you have that level of knowledge. Then the next and final step is teach and you shall receive. When you need something, give what you want first and it will come back to you in buckets. Now, very often, and I even this should be number one. Oh gosh. Very often we hold a lot of information to our chest and we do not want to tell anybody about it. We don't want to share. We want to make sure that nobody interrupting our formula. And the downside to that is that we're already, before we even start, we're putting negativity out there. We're basically telling people they're not even worth having our knowledge, right? Now, bearing in mind, it's so interesting because you went out there and you got knowledge from somebody else, but know that you have the knowledge, you're not sharing it with the soul. And what we don't realize is that sometimes when you give, you get tenfold what you've given. It comes back to you. And I will never forget this time. I will never forget this. I was about 7 years old and I was completely not about to go to church and give all the money I saved throughout the week to church in the till. And I will never forget, I was getting ready for church and my mom cornered me bad, bad, bad. My mom like, you're gonna give it, and it was only like $10. It was like $10. But for me, $10 20 years ago was like $1,000. So I am about to go to church and mom was like, well, take the $10, don't worry about it, give it to the Lord, you got this covered, you don't bite the hand that feed you, all these different things she quoting. And oh yeah, 7 years old, could care less. I just want my $10 to carry school tomorrow. Anyhow, gone to church, wasn't in the best place when it comes to giving away my money, but I decided, you know what, I'm gonna listen to my mom. And I put the $10 in the offering till when the till came around, and I kind of forgot about it. You're seven, like who cares? Like no one's checking at that time, right? And I will never forget that next day. After I put that $10, I had no money at school, had my lunch and everything. And that evening, my mom came to collect me. And she said, Aliyah, guess what? Guess what? And I was like, what? And she was like, here, I have a gift for you. And I was so confused. I was like, what's this? And her boss that Monday morning came to her and said, here, give this to Alian. And it was $100 bill. And when I opened the envelope that evening after school, and I saw this $100 bill, I started to freak out. I was legit sure that I was a millionaire. I was so excited. I can't even start to tell you. I was freaking out, but it was almost like I almost felt like God spoke to me. Funny enough, because I was like, what just happened? Like, I just gave away my $10 yesterday. It hasn't even been 24 hours. And now I have 100. I started to freak out. So from there, that was one lesson that taught me not to be afraid to give, because you do not know, like, legit, there was no kind of plan in that occurrence. But for me, it was like one of those things that taught me, you know what? The giving isn't the bad part. The giving should be the good part, right? And not that you give to expect to receive, but understand that when you give, there are blessings out there thrown to you that you don't know. And in regards to financial literacy, and in regards to those investments turning over, sometimes your good deeds is what allows you to receive that high margin in a particular product or service that is just doing great on the stock market. Like, it's just one of those things. It's almost like what you put out there in the universe comes back to you. And I strongly believe that. And I've never released that thought from my brain, even after that story. And I've always ingrained that into things that I do. So even now, if once investments have been successful and once I've seen a positive return, I always give some percentage back of that investment to something worthy in society, because I strongly believe in the principle of good deeds reaping great rewards. So with that said, I don't know if there's any thoughts, any comments that you have. I know I've spoke a lot about financial literacy, and I want you to just be aware, especially about the few, to me, the key points that really stand out for me, maybe about three of them that really stand out for me out of the 10 steps that I express are who your quality network is, and making sure that you have or choose the right friends around you, because your network plays into what your net worth will be. I strongly believe that, and I always say that. The second thing is learning as much as you can, not only about self, but about the industry or the journey that you want to take in financial literacy. Because investments aren't difficult. Is you having a set state of mind that allows you to invest knowing there's a risk, but understanding exactly how you can maximize reduction of that risk through your knowledge. And then the third thing is definitely given with the understanding that tenfold you can be blessed in your returns. So, on that note, I hope that some form of information has really stuck home. I hope that I was able to help you in some way and at least share some basic principles that will allow you to start living a more positive and investable life. So not only investing in those financial streams and knowing your formula to what works, but also investing in self in order to be that individual that is adequate for where you want to go, you know? And if you feel like there's anyone that could benefit from this, please, please, please share. Please let them know. Um, Put any comments below. If you have any questions, please put them below. I am always here for it. And what I don't know, I will find out for you. Outside of that, I have a free webinar coming up tomorrow. So sign up, sign up, sign up. Go to my website, www.alianeolivier.com, and sign up for that free webinar. If you are on there tomorrow, I look forward to seeing you. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next live. I thank you so much for being on. I thank you for all your inboxing me and commenting and sharing your thoughts. And I look forward to seeing more comments in the days ahead. Have a great Monday, guys. Until next time.